You guys want to know something about the Constitution? You go to this lady's website. Does the Interstate Commerce Clause authorize Congress to force us to buy health insurance? Bill O'Reilly asked Megan Kelly and Lisa Wow or something whether Congress had the authority under the Constitution. Lisa said, yeah, Congress had the power under interstate commerce, but Kelly said it would take days and weeks of research. Okay, here we go. Now let's see. Article 1, Section 8. That Congress shall have the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among several states and the Indian tribes. So what does the word regulate commerce mean among the several states? Well, first, you've got to go look up the stuff from the past because words have changed. Like at one time, gay once meant jovial and lighthearted. So you got to consult an old dictionary. Webster's American Dictionary, 1828, defines commerce as an interchange or mutual change of goods, wares, production, property of any kind between states or individuals, nations, and by barter, by purchase, sale, trade, traffic. Inland commerce is a trade in exchange for commodities between citizens of the same nation or state. So, commerce means the buying and selling of goods. Now we got to find out what regulate Congress among the states. From the Federalist Papers back in 1787, 1788 by Hamilton, Madison, and Jay in order to explain the Constitution to the people and to induce them to ratify it. Okay. These authorities prove that the purpose of the Interstate Commerce Clause are to prohibit the states from imposing tolls and tariffs on articles of import and export, goods and commodities, merchandise as they are transported through the states for the purpose of buying and selling, to permit the federal government to impose duties on imports, exports, both inland and abroad. Okay. Now, that's the Federalist Paper number 22. It's to restrain the people so that they don't fight over what they're selling, because all these different states were taxing and putting duties and tariffs and stuff on something from another state. It's a very material object of this power to regulate commerce. It was a relief of the states which import and export through other states from the proper contributions leveled against them by the latter. Were these at liberty to regulate the trade between the state and state, ways would be found out to load the articles of import and export during the passage. Okay? And then the consumer would end up, making the big payments. Now, Madison's record of Federal Convention, 1787. The power of taxing exports is proper in itself, and the states cannot, with propriety, exercise it separately. It ought to be vested in them collectively. It would be unjust to the states whose produce was exported to their neighbor to leave it subject to be taxed by the latter. Okay? So it would be equal, authorized taxes on everything. And Mr. Ellsworth also commented that the power of regulating trade between the states would protect them from each other. And they didn't want, the states of the Atlantic states from taxing the western states. The Constitution is one of enumerated powers. But today, this clause is cited as authority for the federal takeover of Medicare and so on, because they redefined the clause resulted from a radical transformation to judicial philosophy. Okay, here they did this. Now this nitwit down here, Wickard Filburn, yeah. He said, let's see. No, I'm sorry, I goofed. The court has asserted that Congress has the power to regulate prices on commodities and practices which affect such prices. Then this nitwit here. Charles Evan Hughes, Chief Justice, 1930 to 1941. He said the Constitution is what judges say it is. You got to remember that was during the reign of FDR, socialism, communism. Now I told you before, when these people when they read what judges said about the Constitution, and they don't read the Constitution themselves, that what they're doing is making these judges the law. The Constitution is the law, not the judges. This nitwit, if this thing is still on record, it needs to go. So anyway, that's where that was going, people. Just remember, you have the God-given right to keep and bear arms. Our Declaration of Independence recognizes that right, and it came from God, and them rights are unalienable. The Second Amendment to the Federal Constitution recognizes that God-given right to keep and bear arms, and it's to be free from interference whatsoever from the federal government. Our framers were all armed American people. They understood that arms are our ultimate defense in the event that federal government oversteps its bounds like it's doing now. They're not following the Constitution. Nowhere in the Constitution does it grant authority to abridge or restrict or infringe in any fashion whatsoever guns or ammunition. All these gun laws are unconstitutional because it's outside the scope of Congress, and they can't give power to the ATF or anything like that. These are enumerated powers. They delegated to Congress or to the executive. Let me back up, Rick. There. They are unconstitutional outside the scope of the powers granted to Congress and to the executive branch by our Constitution. Restriction of arms and ammunition is not one of the powers delegated to Congress or to the executive branch. Well, we've got a heck of a lot of stuff going on. The socialists back in the 30s there, they give us the 1934 law and the 1938 law. Okay, it was unconstitutional. Well, then they fabricated some other things. The old George Bush, the senior, came along, 1963, ended up, he was head of the CIA in the Bay of Pigs down there. It didn't go his way. Bingo! Kennedy got killed. 1968, thanks to George Bush. Yes, I'm thanking you, George. They gave us a 1968 law so that, they'd stop. Since they didn't find anybody to blame, let's blame the gun. So they stopped all mail order of firearms because that's how this thing originated. Duh. Step back. Who killed Kennedy? So, thanks to George Herbert Walker Bush, a non-American, he took away our rights to firearms. They produced a 1968 law. Then they turned around and the other Bush took away our liberties on September 11th, 2001. Prove me wrong. Why have you covered everything up? That's the big thing. Like all these school shootings. All we got to do is put these magazine bans in and all this other stuff. It doesn't matter. If you got a clip or a magazine or something, they can jam up and you won't be able to shoot the damn thing. Why didn't you go after the real culprits, the drugs that were messing up every one of these single kids and that guy out there in Las Vegas? No, you didn't go that way because your platform and your agenda are bouncing off the gun control. You're not going after the doctors prescribing these psychological drugs to these kids. You missed the boat. But you knew that. You wanted to bypass that. Make it look like it was a gun. Same thing over and over and over. I mean, you look at the Oklahoma City bombing out there. You think some guy with a Ryder Renner truck blew that up? Give me a break. They found bombs in there that hadn't went off. Hillary Clinton had a whole mess of stuff in there and she was going to get indicted. Bingo. Goodbye evidence. Every time you get her pinned, guess what? Everything goes up in flames. Look at Waco. 17 kids died out there in Waco. And they're complaining about the 17 kids down in Florida. Well, I don't blame them. If it was my kid, I'd be complaining too. But it wasn't the firearms. The laws themselves didn't help. You know, you don't need all these laws. I mean, people know what's good and evil, and thou shalt not kill. You get that in church, and that's the only laws you need. So if somebody goes around and kills somebody, you kill them. End of story. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. You don't wait around for 50 years while they're filing appeals. Give me a break. We need some damn justice back in the United States of America, I can tell you that right now. Getting way out of hand, and the people won't take it too much longer. You know, where there's no justice, you're only left with survival. Thanks for watching.